私は絶対に諦めない。
Hey everyone, Miss Finality here. Whether you're familiar with Honkai Impact or not, in just a few minutes I'm going to show you how you can get yourself a free Valkyrie, which is a character, on Honkai Impact simply by joining me on the 4.3 patch cycle. Now, as I said, since we're on a new patch cycle, new content comes to Honkai Impact once again. What we get this time is a new augment for one of my favorite Valkyries that I wasn't able to get through the Gacha system, Rosalia, or you might know her as Molotov Cherry. I like to call her Razi for short. Now, this is a really cool character, but it's not the only thing that we're actually getting with the new patch cycle. There's several different events, which I'm going to go into major detail on. One of those events, the Honkai Quest, is going to get you a new outfit for Zile, another one of my favorite characters. This is for the Swallowtail Phantasm version of Zile. She's a scythe user, and believe it or not, in this video, I'm also going to explain to you how you're going to get her as well, because she is one of the characters that you can get very soon, and if I remember right, it's at level 20. But as I said, we're going to go over all that, so you don't have to worry about whether or not it was 20 or 30, whatever, because I'm going to show it to you on the screen in just a moment. So first things first, you're probably wondering how to get Rosalia. It's actually quite simple. You only have to be level 30, and that's not very difficult at all to get to. You can certainly do it in just a few days. Once you've reached level 30, all you have to do is click the icon in the middle of the screen, and it will take you to the Carnival Feast Wish event, where you can wish for Rosalia, Ancient Willpower times 600, which is really not a good choice, or the Fervent Core 160. Now, the reason that's available is because if you already had Rosalia, you can just instantly get the new augment and fully upgraded. Now, regardless of your choice, you will get the corresponding item you wished for on the next day. There's a few more things with this event, even just specifically the Carnival Feast. On the second day, you're going to have wishing options between Fervent Core times 6, 3000 Asterite, and gold pins times 150. Now, if you're new to Honkai, you probably don't know what some of those currencies are, but let's just say they buy different types of items. Asterite in particular is used for getting augment cores for the different characters, Valkyries, in the game that have augments. Now, on the 7th day, the wishing options will change, and you will get the option to choose between the Fervent Core times 12, 6000 Asterite, or 300 of the gold pins. Now, the other parts of this particular event are the Festive Spin, which will give you keys which you can use on the Feast Shop. The Feast Shop is going to let you choose between Honkai Cubes, which are very important upgrade materials for high-level weapons, Einstein's Taurus, which is a pry weapon material. Pry weapons are something you get at level 80, so not really something you need to concern yourself with if you're new to Honkai. Then you also have the Ancient Legacy, the Ancient Willpower, both of which are very important for specific event material stuff, as well as rolling on Valkyrie fragments, which when you roll on fragments, it allows you to over time build up the fragments necessary to unlock a character. And then the last thing is the SC medals, and these are also a pry weapon material, so again, not something you need to concern yourself too much with. There are a lot more events in this particular patch cycle, but I intended this video to be an overall overview and almost a review of Honkai Impact as far as it has been in terms of its patch cycles and just sort of how it has evolved at this point. The reasons why it's a really good idea to start playing now is that the game has become more and more generous, as there have been many times where things have happened and the community has kind of had their reactions, and it has led to very significantly good changes. Another reason for getting in now is I don't know that this is always going to be the case, but the level rush is currently available for the next 4 days. And so if that goes away, maybe there's a new level rush coming. But regardless, getting in now would be a very good time if you really like Zile or some of the other characters, because like I said, the game is quite generous in that you get them. Now, Zile can be gotten at level 15. At level 25, you can get Yamabuki armor, which is obviously the character. And then at level 35, you can get Flame Sakatama. Now, what's really nice about these is that they're not just the character, they're actually the character as well as a weapon and a stigma set. Sorry. And all that means is that you're getting your stigmata, you're getting your weapon, and you're getting your character, and they all kind of work in synergy with each other. Now, they are more of like the base level. You're not getting like Undine's tail for a swallowtail or anything like that, but you are getting really good weapons just for starting out for characters that you get very, very easily. The other stuff from the level rush also, it gives you asterite, and you can get stamina potions, which are really good for being able to get your stamina back, because of course this game is a stamina game now. I did mention when you first start playing, you can level up very, very quickly, and you can also you won't feel like you're running out of stamina. It will seem like the stamina lasts forever, but it really doesn't, and that's unfortunate, but it just is how that is. Now, inside of like mine right now, just so we're clear on this, you do get a lot of these stamina things. So when I go look at mine, I have 14 at the moment, which is a lot, as well as a couple of these drinks that also are stamina things. So don't be too deterred by that. And if you've been playing Genshin or whatever, I'll tell you this game is a lot more generous than that. But we won't talk too much more on Genshin, because as I told you guys in one of my previous videos, that is a video coming, and it's very dear to my heart, but it's coming very soon, so stay tuned to that. With respect to the rest of this overview, there are some other really cool things that you're going to get just starting out. I'm going to have some gameplay playing while I continue to talk about these things, because I don't have footage just right at the moment. A lot of the things are kind of gone. I already used them. But you get an S rank egg, or at least you used to. I don't know for sure that it's still here in 4.3, but I imagine it is. With that, you're able to get any of the S rank characters that are available through that, which are a lot of really good ones. Like Sixth Serenade is really good. Phoenix is a fantastic character. Shadow Knight is an amazing character that has like a form switch. So you're able to get those characters really, they're really hard to get normally, but you can get them through this egg. You can get one of them of your choice. And then if you, there's this wishing well thing, which if you are really new to the game or whatever, then you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But basically, this is a gacha game, and what that means is you have to use your crystals that you get in game, and it's quite generous. You do get a lot of crystals or real money, obviously, to roll for these gacha boxes, and they will get you these characters or certain items or whatever. And in this wishing well thing, you can actually wish times like 100, I think, for 2 different characters. So if you do that first, as well as get your starting characters, which you'll get, I think 35 rolls in on the regular supply pull for the dorm, you'll just get a free S rank. And then I think you get another free S rank as well. It's like 35 pulls or something like that. But anyways, which isn't too many pulls and can definitely be done with the free-to-play currency that you get. Then those ones, as well as whatever you get through the wishing well stuff, wouldn't end up being duplicated. So let's say you did that, got Sixth Serenade, got Phoenix, got Shadow Knight as your S's. Then another one that's on there is Genshin Memento, Gashunin Memento. Sorry, I totally forget what it's called. But anyways, which is another really good character. And you'd be able to choose that instead of the ones that were before, like instead of getting duplicates. So it's a really good idea to do that. All right, now it's time to talk about my #1 reason why you should play Honkai Impact. during the 4.3 patch cycle, and it's the same reason that I would always tell you that you should play Honkai, and that is the combat. In fact, the game is free to play. You have a PC, you got a mobile, just download it. Start playing it today. Now, in order to talk about the combat, I've actually brought a friend along to help us out. Say hi to everyone, Kiana. Hi. Well, you seem in a good mood. Kiana, what can you tell everyone here about how the combat works in Honkai? So each of the characters, well, you have 3 of them, but each of them have different buffs and debuffs that work together with other characters. There's also counters like Mech, Bio, and Psi, which are the different archetypes of enemies. And depending on what enemies you're fighting, certain characters are gonna work better. When it comes to which characters work best together, there is actually an ability to figure that out when you're on the character screen. All you have to do is go to the lineup, and it will tell you which characters you should probably use. That's great, Kiana. Really. Thank you so very much. Now, I know that there are certain attacks when you're on the field that you can do between characters. What could you tell our lovely viewers about that? No worries. So what you're referring to are QTE attacks. QTE attacks are something like, for instance, a character knocking another into the air and another one comes along to slam them into the ground. Not all QTE attacks are alike in that they swap the characters onto the field. Sometimes they do some kind of attack outside without, which would basically help the characters that are already on the field in some significant way. Okay, Kiana, those sound super fun. I know that characters have basic attacks and they have hold attacks as well, where you just hold down the button, and certain like basic attacks into holds and certain combos across the different characters. What else can you tell me about the combat? I know there's some like crazy super ability that each character has. Pretty sure what you're referring to is ultimates. All of the characters have ultimate attacks. Usually this works through an SP meter, which builds up as you fight and do certain attacks or have special abilities for your characters. Some characters don't use that, but the ones that do have numbers from maybe 25 for a sort of burst attack that you can use often, or a really strong attack at like 125 SP. Some characters, such as Stygian Nymph, don't function like that. They actually have an ult form, and so they have a cooldown, and that cooldown will basically ensure you to use your ultimate a lot more frequently. And in the case of her, she is a gacha character and certainly one of the most powerful, strongest meta characters available. So if you happen to be lucky enough to get her, you can use this ability to switch to her ult form, do crazy burst damage, and then when you have the cooldown, move back around again, and you have the ability to use it. Her second ultimate will put the two sides, hers and her ults together to do a crazy strong attack to all the enemies near her. Kiana, sounds to me like she's super OP, but I definitely cannot wait to try her out. There's more to Honkai than just the characters. Tell us more. Of course, there's so much more, but so many questions too. So, not only do you have characters in Honkai, but you also have weapons, and you have these sort of trading card things called stigmata. Each of these things also has the ability to have affixes and other strong things added to them. But when it comes to the characters, one character in particular, Celestial Hymn, has a lot of physical damage buffs, like a 20% buff if I remember correct. What you can do is also bring stigmata that synergize well with physical damage buffs, and that will make your characters even more powerful. What about these alternate things that I hear about? It sounds like even beyond evolving between B, A, S, SS, and triple S with respect to the different levels of your Valkyrie, there's something else that could possibly be even stronger. What could you tell me about this secret power and how we unlock it? Augments, dear Watson, augments. This is what you're talking about. Augmented characters, although there's not that many of them, are upgrades to certain characters that allow them to transcend their original skills and have entirely new skill sets. A lot of times what that means is that they're really, really strong, like a lot stronger than they were before. One in particular came with the 4.3 patch, Fervent Tempo, and I'm sure that everybody here will be getting her soon enough, as she's essentially a free character. Even her augment is not that difficult to get through the different event stuff. Thanks so much, Kiana. I feel like we've really sort of tackled how the combat works, and in an advanced guide, I'll be sure to let everybody know all the other things that you've told me. Of course, anything you need. Thanks again, and you be careful out there. I don't want you turning demon on me. I almost forgot, but Kiana reminded me. There are a couple other things I wanted to mention about the combat. The first is that when choosing a weapon, different weapons have different abilities. And basically, that ability is able to be used once you've built up a small amount of SP. There are some characters that have certain abilities within this as well, but in general, this is how they work. The other thing to talk about was ultimate evasions and evasions. Ultimate evasions, most of the time, will slow down time in a bullet time effect and allow you to dodge as well as get some buffs to your damage while in this form or effect. The other thing is some characters have special abilities where they can use their ultimate evasions kind of infinitely and just easily go in. Normally though, you have a cooldown, and once that cooldown comes around, you can use an ultimate evasion again. The other thing is that some QTE attacks can also cause this ultimate evasion bullet time effect. And last of all, with respect to ultimate evasions and evasions, is that there are also just straight evasions, and evasions can be used pretty much instantly. They just don't slow down time. They're essentially just your dodge if you've played, well, virtually any video game at this point. There are just a couple more topics that I have to talk about. The first one I want to talk about has to do with just all the different modes that are currently in the game and mission types. So first of all, you have your normal story mode. Story mode has 3 different difficulties. Each of those difficulties gives you better and better rewards. And by better, I mean for higher quality. So if you start out and you're getting all these basic materials, they're really only going to work for your most basic weapons, stigmata, etc., etc. The other thing about it is that you'll get crystals for all of these missions. And then you'll also be able to claim a little thing at the bottom once you've completed a whole set, which will give you even more rewards. So again, it's just kind of rewards on top of rewards. And that's story mode. Story mode also has an excellent story that delves very deeply into these characters. It really is incredible, and there's even a manga that complements it, which you can read. Chronicles is like story mode, only it delves very deep specifically on a certain character. So you might have one on Blueberry Blitz, or you might have one on Teresa as one of the characters. And it's going to really give you a better idea of who this character is and why they are fighting and dealing with what they're having to deal with in their world. The open world adventure mode is a mode in which there are several different maps and they each correspond to different places. Each of those have a lot of different mission types when it comes to the adventure mode. Sometimes you'll be climbing into a mech and shooting enemies that way. Other times you're just clearing out either an area or clearing out a boss. These will reward all sorts of things, including crystals. So it's important to be on the lookout for the crystals when choosing one of these to go on. They also cost stamina, which is really unfortunate, but it's just kind of how it is. You, however, do get to decide whether or not you want to spend this much stamina versus this much. So you might have one that's 26 and gives you one of the character fragments you want, and you might have one that's 18 and doesn't. And you could choose between those two for whichever one you want, and it would use the corresponding stamina that you had chosen. Currently, there are 3 different adventure maps, one of which is super interesting because it's basically like having Devil May Cry in Honkai. You are able to jump, which you're not able to do normally, other than through QTE attacks. You get special abilities and unlocks that are just completely separate and totally different from the regular game. You get to play as a male character, which is really interesting. I naturally named him Dante. And there's just a lot to it. There's a ruins thing where you basically get to do a stage rush, and you get rewards from that. Some of the rewards can be pulled back into the regular game. It's really quite cool. And it's got a lot of meat to it in terms of the story that's currently there as well. So that's something to look forward to. And for all you boss fight people out there, there is, in fact, a mode called Memorial Arena. The Memorial Arena is basically a place where you take in your best characters. They will get locked in with their equipment, their weapons, their stigmata, etc., etc. And those characters specifically, you will not be able to use them again on the other boss of the week. There's always 2 of them. What you do is you're given so many attempts per day, and you have several days in order to complete it. But you start at rank C fighting them, which is like death in 5 seconds if you're high level, and go all the way up to double S. Once you get there, you'll get major rewards, and it's all based on whatever your ranking is. This is one example of high level content in Honkai. Next mode is the co-op raid. And the co-op raid is basically where you go through 6 different floors, I should say stages, because it's not actually floors. There's a different mode for that. And you will be with other people, 2 other people to be exact. This is a really cool mode that actually gives you free weapons. They are the like divine weapons that are in the game, or basically your legendaries, and you're able to get one free with several of these raids. So when those come around, you can get the weapon for free and put on whatever character you want. Some of these are really strong and can rival the free-to-play stuff that you would normally have. And of course, they kind of count as free-to-play. So even some of them may be able to rival some of the whale gear, at least once they're all leveled up. Co-op raids usually culminate in a final boss at the end. Real quick, I wanted to mention with the Memoria Arena that you also have a training mode where you can basically just go in and fight just for fun. You won't get any rewards from it, but it is a good way to practice before you go in and decide that this is the team that you want to do to actually do it. And that is one of the event things that you can do that doesn't actually cost you stamina. Now, I'm actually planning on making another video in the future where I basically show all of the things in Honkai that you can do without stamina, just because I feel like that would be really cool, and I kind of want to know myself as well, because there's quite a lot of events and activities that don't require stamina, thankfully. Real quick, one thing that doesn't require stamina also is the open world adventure mode stuff, as long as you're not doing any of the actual like adventure task missions and such. They don't cost stamina. You can literally just go into the open world and screw around with any of your characters. And of course, the post Honkai one I was telling you about, the kind of Devil May Cry thing, that one, you can't take your regular characters, but you have characters that you unlock on the inside of it, which are in many cases actually some new characters that aren't in the game normally. So again, it's just something totally worth checking out. On top of all these, there is also something that's really cool that doesn't require stamina, and that is the bounties. Basically, these are just hunt missions. You unlock them at like level 40, I think, maybe 50. But basically, once you've unlocked them, you don't have to do anything. You can play them as much as you want. They do actually give rewards. but you have to spend stamina if you yourself are doing the bounty marks. But you can just play marks all day that other people have put up, and there's never a shortage of that. Every week there are also material events which allow you to play as some interesting things that you wouldn't play as normally, different than the Valkyrie, so I won't spoil them. And there's just a bunch of different events with the materials and general weekly events for different things, including some of the materials for your elves, which are your little Paimon sidekicks. Okay, I know, I said I wouldn't talk about Genshin some more. Oh, and in just a moment, I'm actually going to talk about whaling in this game and why it's a really good idea, particularly if you have the cash in 4.3 and if you are okay with parting with it. Besides all the stuff I mentioned, there's always event quests, and this time there is the Honkai quest, which is basically like a Zelda map, and there's capture locations, and it's quite interesting, and it seems like it takes time. You have to like wait for the stuff to get captured. You can't just like go in and capture it right away and continue up the map, but the rewards are going to be awesome. I think I already mentioned it, so I'm probably being redundant at this point. Let's move on. There are a couple more high tier or endgame content pieces that you should know about, including Infinity Abyss, Super String Dimension, as well as the Dirk's Tea. All of these basically are things that you have a limited time to do, and they raise your rank, and as you raise your rank, it gets harder, and then you have to compete against others in order to get up those ranks, otherwise you'll drop back down. This is your top way of making crystals, as well as some of the other high tier materials like ancient willpower, for instance. So those are important to know about. But basically, in Direxy, the picture always shows discount vending, if you're familiar with Genshin. And that's because you're fighting the boss Wendy a lot of the time in that particular type. That's pretty much it for everything that I can think of that I currently know of that is in Honkai. If there's anything I missed, I'm sure people will let me know. But I think that it's time to now talk about the elephant in the room. Whaling. Whaling, or why you should do it in Honkai 4.3 if you have the money. Now, gacha systems are what they are. Call it gambling, call it what you want. But some games are far more generous when it comes to the gacha, and in Honkai, this is actually the case. Now, it was not always this way, but things have gotten better with the game with recent patches. In this particular patch, the reason I recommend that you do this, if you, again, have the money, and it actually is something you want to do, is because you have quite a few good options for getting the things through the gachas. So under events, if you look at the Das Elf Guild, which basically has Leafa from Sword Art Online, you'll see that you can spend crystals in the supply and it will get you these little tokens. When you go to those tokens on the spend shop, it's basically a spending event. So if you spend money, you're able to then buy basically any of these fragments that you want, up to 100 of them, which basically ensures that if you don't have a particular character, say Violet Executor for instance, you can absolutely get them. Now, I have almost every character here. I do not have Blood Rose, but I think that's it. Oh, and Night Moonbeam. I don't have either of those. So if I was to go and spend on here, I would be able to get those. Another option that you have right now has to do with what are called your top-up rewards, and they've changed that and added some really cool ones in, which thankfully were retroactive. So I was able to get another egg, like I was talking about earlier, through the top-ups. Show that as well. So under top-ups, under bonuses, you'll see that you have all these top-up rewards, and I am at level 9. I need 700 more crystals basically purchased in order to get that. You can calculate just how much money I have spent on this, but it's somewhere around $1,000, I think. In any event, as you can see, I claimed the top-ups getting these weapons here, and I was able to get a lot of money, which is very important at high levels. Like, it ends up being very expensive. I was able to get an A egg, which allowed me to get any of these, the Ritual Amayo, the Flame Sakatama, and Wolf Stun if I wanted. And then, as you can see here, you get a ton of Asterite, which is great for the augments. You also get the top up here, and it gives you a weapon option, which I haven't actually used yet. Undin's tail is for Zile. Eos Gloria is obviously for Bright Knight Excelsius, or any of the other characters that are that character. And then there's several others. And then I was able to get a free costume for one of my characters, which I really love, which changes the actual effects, which you've seen on the video because I had it earlier. And then again, here is that option egg alpha, which allowed me to choose between Violet Executor and all these other characters. And this was the one I wanted the most because I really wanted her Twilight Paladin augment. Another thing that I showcased in the video. So I went for that. Also, earlier when I said it, it was Gushinso Memento. I don't know why I couldn't get that right. I said Genshin Memento. Oh my god, there we go again with the Genshin. Sorry. So this is obviously very expensive, but it does give you some really good rewards. At this point, you get 4,000 weapon resonance, which is really good. It lets you basically buy a really high tier weapon. And if you go even higher than that to this top up, 150,000 on top of whatever I have, you can actually just get Herrscher of the Void, which is awesome. Herrscher of Reason, Vermilion Knight, Eclipse there, Argent Knight. I have Argent Knight and several of those, so I don't have to worry about it. But I really do want Herrscher of Void and Herrscher of Reason. So maybe eventually I'll go for those. Basically, spending money in this is good if you have it and you enjoy the game because of all these different events. Now, whenever a battlesuit is on the focus supply, or expansion supply in this case, what it means is you are absolutely guaranteed it in 99 drops. Now, as compared to Genshin, a game we don't talk about, the drop rates here are a little bit different. You are absolutely guaranteed this. However, it may actually function or factor out to costing just as much as it does in Genshin Impact. The other thing to keep in mind is whenever there is a battlesuit that's on the expansion supply, the focus supply is always going to have their weapon as one of the options. So you can basically roll on both of those. Another reason for whaling in 4.3 is because Herrscher of Thunder is a fantastic battlesuit, probably the best lightning battlesuit in the game. However, one more time I want to repeat some advice I gave earlier, which is do not spend your crystals, as I did, on the dorm supply past what you normally get, because sorry, if it has the free characters, basically. I mean, they're not free, but you know, they're on a much lower amount, like 35 or something, because they're better off spent on these expansion supplies. So like in this case, I'll probably roll for Herrscher of Thunder. The other reason why this is really important to not do this is because under Dorm, you can go to your errands, and whenever you complete these, and these are just, you just do these every day, you just set them up, do them every day, you get this currency. And the dorm currency that you get can be spent in the dorm shop for a lot of things, but one of the things you can get is, as you can see, a dorm supply card. And this is the only thing you really want to use to buy these supply boxes. So now that I have that, I'm gonna go over to this and try my luck. You can get a lot of different things. The drop rates are 1.5% for characters, so I got a character in this case, but not an S, so not probably 20% I think for the A rating characters. And of course, every 10 you get it, whatever. I already had it, so I get 30 fragments, which is not bad. not like upset about it or anything. And it was, you know, off of just the dorm stuff, so no big deal. But it does count as spending crystals, believe it or not. So you actually get these. So at this point, I'm gonna go to the spend shop. And one of the characters I didn't have was Night Moonbeam. So I'm gonna buy 2 of hers. I already have 15. And I'm getting closer and closer to having 80 to unlock her. That's pretty much it for whaling. There's a lot of other things you can get through spending money, but I feel like those are the kind of main things. I'll say real quick that I don't think elves are really worth it and are extremely expensive, cost the same as characters, and you know, they only have like one ability generally in game, besides like some others that are like passives. I'm not saying that's bad or anything, but the supply for the elves costs the same as the characters, which I think is kind of crazy to spend on, but that's just me. It is in particular Bella, which is recommended for her Trip Thunder though. So again, the elf that goes along with the current expansion supply of Valkyrie. So if you were going to spend money, those are just the things that I personally would recommend. And like I said, I've probably spent about $1,000, which is crazy, but I really love this game, like a lot, which is why this video is like super comprehensive. We are on to the final section, and I don't know if you would have guessed it or not, but
攻撃は終わり。それなら私の番で文句ある。死ね。キアラ、あんたが目を覚ました時全てが変わっている。 世界はもう美しくない。平凡な日常ももうない。でも諦めないで。何があっても諦めないで。
調子に乗るな。少佐少佐
少佐
少佐姫子、私は最強のバルキリーになるの。
キアラ、顔を上げなさい。あんたは前に進むのよ。この不完全な物語をあんたの望む姿に変えなさい。生きなさい、キアナ。これで授業はおしまいよ。
I really hope you liked the video. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you like what I'm doing here, why not subscribe and ring the bell so you always get notification of my next video. The next video will be Genshin Impact. Don't forget to like, comment, and share my video everywhere. Have a wonderful day. Love ya. Bye.